What's up, guys? Today we're going to talk about the difference between vacationing and traveling as a digital nomad. So this is based on my experiences and failures at doing this over the past 3 years of living the digital nomad lifestyle, traveling around, trying to train, be consistent, right? And so I think it's important to define this, right? So traveling to me is where you're focused on the job. You're going to a place, maybe you're setting up for a longer period of time, you're there for a couple of weeks, maybe a month. So the goal during the week is to be consistent, train, but then use the weekends to explore a little bit more touristy kind of things, right? Like you might do things around the city, right? And then take a trip out of town, 2 or 3 hours on the weekend. And so the weeks you're locked in, you're working, building the business, training, going to the gym, whatever it is you do, right? Whatever your normal routine is, and then on the weekends, you're able to get out and do a little bit more adventurous stuff, go climb a mountain, go hike, go do whatever you like to do in your spare time, right? On the other hand, vacationing is like when you call off work for a week or two. I mean, you're like, I'm just completely out of my routine. I don't want to do any work, maybe a little bit of like admin stuff, but no classes, no calls, no client contact really. You're just doing some managerial stuff. Maybe you're doing some sales, but for the most part, you're taking that time to go and travel and see things during the week, during the weekends, for that week or two you have as vacation, right? Now, I've done this well in certain cases, and I've done this really poorly in others, right? Like an example of when I treated it as travel when it should have been vacation. But I think it's important to make this distinction because if you treat it like travel in a vacation scenario, like you're trying to take calls while you're all hiking in Patagonia, you're gonna have poor or no signal whatsoever, right? You're gonna struggle to get your work done, and you won't be able to fully embrace and enjoy what you're out there to do, right? You'll be constantly worried about work, thinking about, is this client done? Is this project done, right? If you treat it as a vacation when it's travel, right? You're taking half days off, you're going out too often, enjoying yourself maybe a little too much, right? You're gonna end up missing deadlines, calls, meetings, important things, right? Your work's gonna suffer, your reputation might go down the drain a little bit because the quality of your work is suffering, right? Because you're trying to do the vacation thing when you should be more on that travel side of things, right? And if we keep doing this, what we end up doing is we end up without a business, right? Because our reputation has gone down the drain. We no longer have a business that lets us live this digital nomad lifestyle. So I think I did this really well when I was in Argentina, right? It was towards Christmas time, and I already had this time planned off as vacation. So I guess it doesn't count as much, right? Around Christmas and New Year's, right? But like as the year was coming to a close, I started winding down classes. I had already planned it out, right? What this meant is that I had 2 weeks where I didn't have to get class. I didn't really talk to anybody. I did a little bit of social media stuff when I had the internet, but when I didn't, it wasn't a problem because I wasn't taking calls. I wasn't trying to work and be with students, right? What I was doing was just focusing on like back-end managerial stuff, right? Which you can do basically anywhere as long as you have an internet connection, right? And since it's not time sensitive, it doesn't really matter if you get it done on a deadline. Social media you can schedule out. It's not that hard. And this was really cool because it gave me the chance to like really explore. I got to go hitchhike across the country. I explored the Siete Lagos area down in like Bariloche and like down near Patagonia, right? Ran around with the car and hung out. I was able to make plans kind of last moment, spur of the moment, right? Because I didn't have to worry about like I got class at 10 on Monday. I can't do that, right? And so I was able to take a much needed break from work without having to worry about like ruining my reputation. On the other hand, I've also completely horribly messed this one up. Not last year, but 2022, I went to like the Balkans. I traveled around. I went to Morocco, I went to France and Italy. I went to like Romania, Turkey, Greece, Serbia. So look, I was gone for like 3 months. So I couldn't feasibly just call it a vacation, right? Kind of hard to just take 3 months off and not do anything. It's not going to work out very well for the business side of things. But this led to the trip not being as great as it could have been. And when I go back, I'll definitely either go for a shorter time or just take off at least 1 or 2 weeks where I just don't have to work, right? Because basically what it ended up me doing was I had to work from 8 p.m. till 4 a.m. most days, right? I ended up sleeping in late, missing what to me is like my favorite part of the day, like the calm part in the morning, right? Getting to hang out, go get a coffee while the place comes alive, right? You can see people moving around, see people going about their day. With this sleep schedule, right, I would be like going to work at 8 p.m. until 4 a.m. I would maybe fall asleep at 4 a.m., right? Most of the time it took me an hour to wind down. And so either what happened is I ended up waking up at noon, missing that nice part in the morning, or I would wake up at 7 or 8, like I was accustomed to from being in Mexico and the US, and I would sleep for 4 hours a day, which is not good, right? And so it led to me just being super tired all the time. I wasn't able to truly explore places, and I wasn't able to I didn't feel rested. Just kind of felt terrible. And like since I'm waking up at noon on a lot of these days, it's not like it can be like, oh, you know, in the morning I've got 4 hours, I can go and see this place. No, I woke up at noon, so I was like, I can't really leave town and then come back. I don't have the time to do that, right? So I ended up just kind of hanging around. I stuck in cities most of the time, especially in Morocco, and worked for the most part. Right, I would get out on the weekends and kind of see things. It was nice too because I was there around like Thanksgiving, so I did have a week to kind of hang out and just explore. I think it was in Istanbul, maybe. And like another thing is like I couldn't just go out and see other parts of the country. Like I couldn't go places where I might have to worry about the internet. So I stayed much closer to cities than I otherwise would have. Although I do consider it a major win that I chose to not do the like translation interpretation stuff that I had been doing while I was on these trips. I only focused on business on the Spanish classes, right? Which I remember this moment very clearly when I was in Chile. I was in Santiago, and I was like sitting there. I was like doing this interpretation. It's like the middle of the day. I'm like, it's so beautiful inside. And this is a new city I've never been to, new country. I don't want to be sitting here doing this. I was like, this is not worth my time. My time is much better spent taking the hit to my finances for 2-3 weeks, of making a little bit less money because the Spanish is what it was mostly even at that point, right? And not worrying about it, right? Versus going and wasting my time, right? And just hanging out inside for $10 an hour or whatever it was on me. Now, there are some things that I think I could have done better. Like I think for one, with my classes, I probably could have moved the schedule around and adapted the schedule a little bit, whether that's like moving students around or like making it more, especially when I was over in like Europe and stuff, like adapting it a little bit more to that schedule, right? Being like, hey, for the next 2 months, I need a new class right now, or can you do these times, right? Because it would also allow me to open up times that otherwise wouldn't be available. But you live your life, right? And the other thing I would probably do is start shifting my schedule a couple weeks before I headed out, right? Because like that first 2 weeks that I was in Morocco was terrible. Because my body wanted to get up at 7, 6, 8, right? But then I was going to sleep at 4, so I was sleeping 3-4 hours a night. It was just terrible. So let's talk about the scenarios where I think it's important to treat it as like travel, right? For me, a big one is cities. Like if you're in cities, treat it as travel. You're there to work. You're gonna be able to see it. Things cool, but for the most part, you're there to work and build a business, right? Also for me, cities are super accessible as far as like working, because if I have an hour in the middle of the day, I can go take a lap around and go see some of the city, maybe go see some like a museum or something if I've got a little bit longer, a couple hours, right? Get some food, get some coffee, feel the vibe of the city, and then go back and start working, right? And for me, that's kind of the appeal of cities, is just to go around, eat good food, drink good coffee, people watch, right? The second place where I think you should treat it as travel is like places you've been, right? If you've been there before and it's not like a new place, it's much easier to treat it as travel. Because when it's like a new city, like for example, I was just talking about Santiago, and there was a new city I wanted to go out and explore, right? Now I can probably go back and work a little bit more, not be as worried. Like I kind of saw the city, I did the touristy stuff, and like I now want to focus on what I like about cities, right? Which is going out and eating good food, and drinking coffee, and hanging out with friends, right? Training, doing jiu-jitsu, right? Like for me, this is like Puerto Escondido or Mexico City is a big one, where I go and I can just purely focus on work, because I'm like, I've already seen all the touristy stuff. I've done it all. I have friends and I know where I want to go and what I want to do anyway. So it's not like I'm just like wandering around and like, what should I do today? So I've already got like routines there. I know I've got good internet. I'm not feeling like that draw of like, I gotta go out. I gotta see this. I gotta do this. I gotta go visit whatever, right? So I think cities, places you've been, and also places that you plan to live for a month or more, right? Depending on how fast you travel, how often you travel, you can bump this down even to like a couple of weeks, right? But like if you're gonna be in a place for a long time, it behooves you to treat it as travel. One, because it's kind of hard to take a month off of work without going broke. And two, because you're gonna have plenty of time to see all the touristy things, right? So those are my 3 times I would treat it as travel: cities, places I've already been, and places I'm gonna stay a long time. Right? And I know not touristy though, I think it's totally cool to be like, I don't care about any of this. I know what I want to do, and I'm gonna do that. I don't really care about the like stereotypical tourist stuff. Like for me, I've traveled to a lot of places and been like, you know, I don't care about seeing all of these shitty tourist sites. I want to work. I want to find a good gym. I want to do some jiu-jitsu. I want to hang out at cafes, go walk through parks, right? Do the things that for me is like city vibes, you know what I'm saying? Now, the 3 times I think you should treat it as a vacation. One is when you have free time for work, especially if you're like, if you have like a salary job, right? And you can just take a week or 2 off without much worry, treat it as a vacation. Go hard, see all the stuff, and do all the things, travel all over the place, and enjoy it. Treat it as a vacation, right? And if you're more of the style of like, I'm gonna sit by the pool and drink martinis, that's also okay. I also think you should treat it as vacation if you're planning to do something like big adventure, outdoorsy activity kind of thing. Like you're going to go hike up Machu Picchu or hike through Patagonia, go surf in some abandoned beach town, right? Go for a camel ride in the desert, whatever it is, right? If you're gonna be out and about in the wilderness, not near your phone, signal might be spotty, you don't know if the Wi-Fi is gonna work or if there's even gonna be Wi-Fi, right? Better to just take it as a vacation, right? Or schedule it so that you can go there and do those things during vacation time, right? I promise you, and I've seen it happen, like for example, my students, perfectly happy and okay with me being like, hey, I'm taking the week off to do whatever, right? They're gonna be way happier than to take the week off, let them do whatever they need to do, and then come back and be able to share a story, right? And especially for me, they travel to Latin America, I teach Spanish, right? And so for me, it's all like cultural stuff that I can teach. I mean, like, you know, I learned this while I was hiking in Patagonia. I didn't know that, right? Whatever it may be. And then places you're at for a short time. If you're only gonna be there for a few days, you gotta treat it like vacation, right? You gotta go out and do the touristy things. Again, totally cool if you don't want to, right? But that is a scenario where I would treat it as vacation. And I wanna go out and do the touristy things. If I'm only gonna be there a few days, maybe a week, and I know that I'm probably not gonna come back, or I might not, I don't know when I'm gonna come back, right? I'll treat it as vacation and just go out and do all the touristy things, right? Even if that means I don't sleep as much, even if that means I gotta get up a little bit early, try to shift my schedule around a little bit, I'll try and take advantage to do vacation things. Hey, thank you so much for watching this video. If you like it, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. I think is what you say here at YouTube. Like, follow, click here to watch my latest video. And if you've got any things you want to talk about with digital nomad type stuff, leave a comment down below. See you in the next one.